It is the year 2046 and society has created a virtual network. Using a portable device called the neural linker, everyone is using the virtual network for their daily needs. Haruyuki is a short and chubby middle schooler that gets picked on by bullies at school. However, the most popular girl in school, Kuriyuki Hime, gives him a special program which changes his life. The program is called Brain Burst, and it accelerates the user's mental processing speed thousandfold. This allows Haruyuki to enter the accelerated world as an avatar, where he starts fighting as Kuriyuki Hime's personal knight. In order to accelerate a user, also known as Burst Linker, must have burst points, and the only way to earn them is by fighting. But if one runs out of burst points, Brain Burst will automatically uninstall itself, and they will never be able to reinstall it. Kuriyuki Hime explains to Haruyuki that the accelerated world is divided under the control of the 6 major legions, led by the strongest players of the game, the kings of pure color: blue and red, yellow and green, purple and white. Apparently, it is possible to become even stronger than they are, but in order to do that, they would need to fight amongst each other, which they refused to do and instead entered an indefinite ceasefire. However, there used to be one more king called Black, who tried to defeat the other kings. Kuriyuki Hime states that she was that Black King that turned her into a fugitive from the accelerated world. Haruyuki's biggest bully, called Arya, attempts to run over Haruyuki and Kuriyuki Hime with a car. The two of them accelerate with Brain Burst and get some time alone to exchange words before the accident happens. Kuriyuki Hime confesses her love to Haruyuki before pushing him out of the way. While she is unconscious in a hospital, the avatar that was encroaching on her before, Cyan Pili, could easily force a match and defeat her in the accelerated world. In order to prevent that, Haruyuki remains by her side. It is then that his friend Takemu shows up at the hospital. It turns out he is Cyan Pili from the accelerated world, and the two of them clash. Cyan Pili is stronger than Haruyuki's avatar Silver Crow, and when it appears that the fight is over, Silver Crow awakens a new ability so he could protect Kuriyuki Hime. A pair of wings appears on his back, and he becomes the first true flying avatar. Thanks to the maneuverability and flying speed, he manages to defeat Cyan Pili and beat some sense into his friend. In the end, he manages to convince Takemu to join up with him and Kuriyuki Hime. Kuriyuki Hime regains consciousness and is impressed by Haruyuki's wings. Inspired by him and his actions, she picks up the mantle of the Black King once again. While flying in his arms, she announces to all the players that she, also known as the Black Lotus, is back, reforming her legion, the Nega Nebulus, in order to break down this fake facade of peace that the other kings have set up. The news of her return, together with Silver Crow's ability to fly, spread through the accelerated world like wildfire, shaking the territories controlled by the kings and forcing them into battles. One day, Haruyuki's second cousin Yuneko shows up at his house. What is more, it turns out she is in fact the Red King's Scarlet Rain. She challenges him to a fight in the accelerated world and defeats him quite easily. For a prize, she demands to see Kuriyuki Hime. During their meeting, Yuneko says that she needs Silver Crow's flight ability to fight the Armor of Catastrophe. Kuriyuki Hime shows them a recording of the last time the Armor of Catastrophe was on a rampage. It was committing atrocities all over the accelerated world until a group of high-level linkers defeated it. But the armor still remained, hijacking the mind of one of the linkers that defeated it and turning him into a barbaric mass murderer. After that, the 7 kings came together and supposedly destroyed the armor for good. Yuneko is infuriated by that statement, as it obviously was not true. She adds that the one possessed by the armor this time is one from her own legion prominence, named Cherry Rook. This makes it her duty to execute him and put his rampage to an end, knowing that Kuriyuki Hime joins her together with Haruyuki and Takemu. On their way to confront the Armor of Catastrophe, they get ambushed by the Yellow King and his legion. It turns out that he is the one behind Cherry Rook getting possessed by the armor. The battle is evenly matched until it gets interrupted by the Armor of Catastrophe itself, forcing the Yellow King to retreat. Thanks to Black Lotus encouraging him, Silver Crow manages to muster the courage to fight the armor, in spite of its monstrous power. They manage to get the upper hand in the battle, but the Red King hesitates with the execution. Black Lotus reveals that she is most likely Cherry Rook's child, and Silver Crow takes over the lead in the battle. Facing off against the armor in a one-on-one match, he prevents it from retreating and beats it down. The second time around, the Red King finishes the job and executes Cherry Rook, removing him from Brainburst for good. After confirming that the Armor of Catastrophe is gone for good, the group returns to the real world. Time went on and more members joined the Nega Nebulus. Silver Crow is determined to reach the top alongside Black Lotus. During a middle school vaulting competition, a girl who is jumping has a severe accident, but manages to accelerate into the accelerated world before the impact. At the same time, there is a territory battle happening in the accelerated world between Nega Nebulus, Prominence, and the Green King's Legion. Suddenly the battle gets interrupted by a strange phenomenon, forcefully disconnecting everyone from the accelerated world. When they try to get back into the accelerated world, they are unable to do so. Haruyuki and his friends try to find some answers. They learn that the anomaly started just around where they were fighting, and it is now slowly spreading all over. In order to enter the accelerated world, they move to an area that has not yet been affected by it. Kuroyuki Hime attempts to contact the other kings but does not get any response from them. Relying only on their own research, they figure out that the anomaly will eventually spread all over the city, and perhaps even further, preventing anyone from entering the accelerated world. With no other options, the decision becomes to get closer to the anomaly and see if anything can be done about it. Before they head out, they participate in the summer festival in the real world, where Haruyuki and Kuroyuki Hime spent a tender moment together. She tells him how the thought of losing her memories and bonds scares her, as well as everyone else. Haruyuki reassures her, stating how the bond between them, as well as the bonds they formed with everyone else, will never go away. The next day, Nega Nebulus and Prominence join up together and enter the accelerated world, with the mission to learn more about the anomaly that caused the accelerated world blackout. Inside the accelerated world, they travel closer to the anomaly, which appears to be a massive black cloud that is slowly spreading. Knowing that if they touch the dark cloud, they will get forcefully disconnected, they try to come up with ideas on how to bypass it. The Red King fires her mighty arsenal of weapons on it, and the dark cloud reacts. Figuring if they blast it with everything they have, they might be able to push through it. At that moment, the Green King, Green Grandy, appears behind them. He explains to them that the dark cloud is made by the goddess Nix, who was a super-class enemy in Brain Burst, and eventually got sealed away in a dungeon. Black Lotus interjects, saying how she never had the ability to disconnect people, to which Green states that this is why they need to investigate. He displays his Parsec Wall ability, that seems to be able to keep the dark cloud at bay. Scarlet Rain changes her weapon platform into a vehicle and Green erects the Parsec Wall barrier around it. With everyone riding on the back of Scarlet's vehicle, they rush into the dark cloud. The barrier lasts just barely long enough for them to punch through the cloud and into the area behind it. There they find a large floating stadium, and when Silver Crow flies up towards it, he gets attacked by flying monsters that swarm the entire sky. Lotus explains that those are Nox Core who served Nix, confirming that Nix is in fact behind it, and she is probably hiding in the floating stadium. Lotus explains to Crow that Nix got sealed away during the early days of Accelerated World because she was too strong. Nega Nebulus and Prominence attack the Nox Core, but even with them going all out, they are unable to break through enemy lines. Things are looking grim when two more kings appear with their most powerful Legion members. The Purple King Purple Thorn and the Blue King Blue Knight. They say that they got here thanks to Grandy and are willing to join forces in order to defeat Nix. With all of them working together, the battle shifts in their favor. As they are overpowering the Nox Core, Nix wakes up a huge worm-like monster to fight them. The powerful monster seems unbeatable by raw power, but then the Yellow King, Yellow Radio, shows up and saves the day. Although the other kings are not happy to see him here, they still accept his offer to help in the fight. Grandy comes up with a plan where everyone except for Crow and Lotus will attack the Nox Core and draw their attention, while Crow flies his king up into the stadium to confront Nix. Setting the plan into motion, the final confrontation begins. The distraction works perfectly, allowing for Crow to fly in with Lotus, while everyone else is fighting and giving it all they got. Inside the stadium, they come face to face with Nix, as well as some other burst linker who is laying on a bed, seemingly asleep. Nix is upset to be woken up, stating how her goal is to put the whole accelerated world into eternal slumber. That way there will be no more suffering and no more sadness, as all the burst linkers will sleep in tranquility. Lotus refuses to accept that, declaring how that cannot be called living. Nix restrains Lotus and Crow with thorny vines, attempting to put them to sleep as well. Crow sees the memories of the burst linker asleep on the bed. It is the same girl from the vaulting competition, Risa. He sees the accident happen and Risa's panic acceleration into the accelerated world. There she remains crying, and it is her cries that wake up Nix from her sleep, allowing her to break from the seal. Nix questions her as to why she is crying, and the girl explains how she messed up and is most likely dead in the real world. And even if she survived, she considers herself to be completely worthless if she cannot jump again. So she desires nothing more but just to sleep. Lotus and Crow insist that this is not good for her, explaining that the accelerated world is not the world we are supposed to live in. Nix interrupts them and protects Risa by changing into her true form. It quickly becomes a losing battle for Lotus and Crow, but an angelic girl named Metatron shows up and explains that they only need to sever the link between Nix and Risa in order to win. Metatron empowers Crow so he can fly even faster than before, and arm in arm with Lotus, the two of them strike at the circuit that connects Nix and Risa. They hear Risa's voice, asking them why they want to wake her. Crow tells her that we all need to go back to reality someday. The girl insists on how she was always alone, and there is no one for her in the real world. Lotus tells her about the time she was in a similar situation after her accident. The car crashed into her, and she got better thanks to Haruyuki being by her side. With Lotus and Crow's encouraging words, Risa is convinced to not give up, and instead she reaches out to them, waking up. Nix respects her decision and retreats, telling her she will be always watching over her. With that, the dark cloud anomaly disperses and everything returns to normal. Sometime later, Risa wakes up in the hospital where she is visited by her friends from sports team. While in her wheelchair, she is looking out through the window. There she spots Haruyuki and all of his friends coming to visit her, and it brings a bright smile to her face. Hey, thank you for staying all the way till the end. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. It takes only a second, but it means everything to us. Have a great day and see you in the next video.